Just hopping on to do a little video tutorial for you. You may or may not have seen the live that I did about 2 days ago with Makeup by Lauren Paul, Lauren of Makeup by Lauren Paul. Lauren's written a short piece alongside another group of wedding suppliers about marking your special day. I know a lot of you very sadly have had to postpone your wedding days, and we're doing our best to support you through a very tough time. But for those of you who have had to postpone your day, it's nice to still mark the day. So Lauren's written a piece, as I say, with contributions from myself, from Jen of Wildflower Hair Company, from Diddy Box Flowers, from the Urban Cake Company, basically talking about little things that you can do at home without too much fuss, just to mark the day. It's still good to celebrate the day that should have been. So you may or may not want to get dressed up in your full wedding day finery. My guess is not. But it is still nice to dress up. I did a little live with Lauren a couple of days ago where I talked to you about how you can just find odds and ends in your jewellery box, little components that have been knocking around in that drawer that's got your hairdryer and your clips and your bubbles and what have you in, to make your very own little hair accessory to pop in your hair, to make you feel dressed up, to make your outfit feel finished on the day that should have been your wedding day. So this is a little tutorial for you, showing you how you can use those little bits and bobs that are in your jewellery box to make something special for your hair. A little something like this, which I have literally knocked up from an old necklace and one of those elasticated bracelets that you wear when you're going on your holidays. So I hope you enjoy the tutorial. Take care, speak to you soon. I've raided my jewellery box. I've had a look through at some bits and bobs that I don't wear anymore. Things like this old elasticated bracelet, bought for some long forgotten holiday. Pieces like this Aztec-y style necklace that's seen better days. The chain is a bit tarnished, but the main pieces, the main components are still looking pretty good, and I know I can take these apart and wire them up using these little holes if I wanted to. And I found this old necklace. Again, the chain is a bit tarnished, and it's seen better days. It's not the sort of thing that I would really wear anymore. But having said that, it's got some nice pearl components, a bit of faux crystal on there, some diamante gold leaf. So lots of pieces on here that I could take off of the necklace and wire up onto just a little hair grip, bobby pin, hair slide that I have found in the same drawer that I keep my straighteners and my hairdryer in. And I'm going to show you how to do that. These are the sorts of things I'm talking about, these kinds of hairpins that you use for pinning curls and twists and braids into your hair. If you haven't got one that size, then you can just as easily use a little hair grip like this. Just be aware when you're using smaller hair grips that you don't really want to put terribly heavy components on. So something like that is fine, but you really wouldn't want to put something of that size on the end of a grip this small, because it will just slide out of your hair. You don't have to stick to gold. Again, I found this really bright, colourful wooden necklace, and I was looking at the little seed beads in between the big beads, and again, you can easily take these off of a necklace, wire them up, and make some pretty shapes to go on a hairpin to brighten up and finish your hairstyle. So today I'm going to be working with these little gold beads that I've taken off another one of these stretchy bracelets, and I'm going to be working with this gold flower with the pearl centre that I have taken off of this necklace here. I'm also going to be using one of these style bobby pins. I'm going to be using a little bit of craft wire. This is 4mm craft wire that I will be using today. You want quite a fine wire when you're working with hairpins of this size. Anything thicker is going to be quite unwieldy and difficult to twist. So you do want a fine wire. You're looking at a 0.3 millimeter, sorry, or a 0.4 millimeter gauge wire to be working with, something that's nice and light and flexible. If you don't have any craft wire at home, there are a couple of online shops that are delivering at the moment. I know Beads Direct are delivering and Beads Jar are also delivering, and I do think, double check, but I do think wires.co.uk are also delivering at the moment. But just a little bit of fuse wire, if you can find a bit of fuse wire in your toolbox, that will work just as well. And finally, I am using some jewellery making pliers and tools. If you don't have, these are my wire cutters. If you don't have some jewellery making tools to hand, and let's face it, many of you won't, you basically just need something that will cut wire. So if you don't have a pair of pliers like this, then have a look at the pliers that you've got in your toolbox under the sink. Most of them will have this sharp edge that you use to cut things like fuse wire. So you just need something that will do that job for you, okay? Just something that is going to cut through wire. Doesn't have to be jewellery making pliers. And then finally, I am using a pair of these jewellery pliers for pinching and flattening. Again, if you don't have something like this, just an ordinary pair of pliers will do. You just want something that you can squeeze that wire with, pinch it flat. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm basically using one of these hairpins. I'm using this flower component taken from the necklace. And I'm using a handful of these gold beads from the elastic bracelet. Okay, so to begin with, I want you to roughly cut yourself a piece of wire, let's say that is approximately 8 to 10 centimetres in length. So you've cut yourself a piece of wire approximately 10 centimetres in length. Now I want you to pick up and feed onto the wire 5 gold beads or similar. So seed beads, pearls, any sort of little round bead that you can thread onto a wire. So those are my 5 little gold beads from my stretchy bracelet. Now all I'm going to do here is I'm going to just turn the wire over on itself and create that shape. So you've basically got a kind of a flower shape. And then I'm going to take this end of my wire and I'm going to feed it through the first bead on that row. And I'm going to pull it tight. Okay, and so you basically end up with a flower shape. The wire has gone through the first bead twice, so this end and that end have gone through that bead, and you've got kind of 2 legs. I'm going to adjust this slightly because you want this piece of wire to be a bit longer. So you basically want this piece of wire and this piece of wire to be of a similar length. So this piece, as you can see, is only about half the length of that piece. So I just need to do a little bit of jiggling to level them up. So there we go. That's a much better length. So they're very similar there and there. Okay. Now, once you've done that, pull those 2 legs down. Pull that flower so it's nice and tight. You don't want those beads wobbling around too much. So you want it nice and tight. Pull those 2 legs down. And then all you're going to do is, using your thumb and your forefinger, take those 2 pieces of wire and twist them over on themselves. And I want you to do that about 4 or 5 times. And then you'll end up with your flower shape, some wire twisted over on itself, and that's going to be approximately 1/2 centimetre, and then your 2 legs of wire. Okay, just leave that to one side for a moment. Then pick a slightly bigger component. Now, as I say, I've chosen to use this flower. You could also use one of these discs. I could have used that flower. I could have used that leaf. I could have used that piece of faux crystal. Doesn't really matter. You basically just want something that's going to balance the smaller shape out with a larger shape. So as I say, I'm going to be using this flower. Same wire again. And again, approximately 10 centimetres, and this might be about 12 centimetres. Cut your wire. Now, you're looking for a hole. There's a little tiny hole. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a teeny tiny hole where the original jump ring fed through and connected this to my necklace. So if you've got a little hole like that, that's ideal. If you don't have a little hole like that, it doesn't matter. You can still just wrap your wire around something like a petal or something that's sticking out. You just need to be able to secure this with the wire. So I'm lucky with this piece, I have got this little hole here. With the faux crystal, I would use this little hole here. With this pearly flower, I'd use that hole there. So you're searching for a little hole or something that's sticking out that you can wrap the wire around. In this case, I'm going to feed the wire through this little hole. And I'm going to do that a few times and pull it tight, just to make sure that it doesn't end up wobbling around on the end of your wire. So this is it. Really isn't very difficult, unless you, like me, have forgotten to pop your readers on. Let's go readers. Oh, everything is so much better with readers. Okay. So I'm feeding this wire through, I'm pulling it tight. I'm doing that a few times, basically until I get to a point where I can go like that with the component that I'm using, and it's not going to wobble around. It's not going to be nodding on the end of that piece of wire, because when it's attached to the grip that you put in your hair, you don't really want it to be sliding around in your hair. You want it to be fairly still and straight. I think I've used that hole up. I don't think there's any room anymore. Okay, so now we've done that. We've got our 2 legs of wire sticking out, and the same as before, we're going to use our forefinger and our thumb. We're going to pinch the wire and we're going to twist it over on itself, and we're going to do that 5, 6. This time I'm going to do it about 8 times. Okay, so this time this is going to be closer to 1 centimetre in length. This one's more like 1/2 centimetre. This one's more like 1 centimetre in length. Okay. And as I say, what you're looking for is a piece that stays fairly still on the end of that wire. You can see it's quite rigid. Okay, we're now going to fix those 2 components to this grip. As I say, have a look round in your drawer. It's normally the drawer that you keep your hairspray, your hair products in. That's the drawer that's got your elastic bands, your hair bands, your scrunchies, if you've still got scrunchies, slides, grips, and you're looking for something like this to attach these pieces to. If you don't have anything like that, but you do have something like this, look out some craft glue or some super glue or whatever kind of industrial strength glue that you've got, and break up a bit of jewellery. Get a few components like this, and you can literally just stick them to a grip like that and then slide that into your hair and have a nice pearly or sparkly hair grip for the side of your hair. Let's say we're going with this grip. And first of all, I am going to fix the little flower shape to the end of this grip. And I'm going to do that by, I'm going to take the legs, and the legs are going to sit either side of the end of that grip. Okay, so hold it as still as you can in place. Take one of the legs and feed it through the grip. So you're holding one of the legs in place with your thumb and your forefinger. That's hard to say, forefinger. One of the legs has gone through your grip and you've twisted it around the back, over the top and back through again. Pull it tight. And then you're going to go round the back, over the top and back through again. You might need to find yourself some little snips, little pinchers that you can grab that wire with, and you're going to keep doing that until you've got no wire left. Okay, so you've done one leg, so it's wound all the way around until there's no wire left, and then you're going to take the other leg and you're going to do exactly the same thing, but this time you're going to be coming sort of forwards through that grip, and every time you're going to be pulling it tight, pushing it back through, pulling it tight, push it back through, pull it tight, push it back through, pull it tight until you don't have any wire left. And you're trying to keep those twists as neat as you possibly can. And when you get to the end, just use whatever pliers you've got just to nibble the end of that wire down, squeeze it down, run your finger over it, make sure it's not sticking out because you don't want that digging in into your head when you pop that in your hair. Okay, and then just adjust that flower so it sits where you'd like it to sit. Okay? Okay, we're now going to fix this component, the large component, with the slightly longer wire onto your hairpin. Okay, you're going to do exactly the same again. So you've got the two legs of wire. One is going to go one side of your curvy grip. The other is going to go the other side. Okay, then hold it into place with your fingers. Pull that wire around the back, through the middle, around the back, through the middle, around the back, through the middle, and just keep going until you're out of wire. Okay, so you've done one leg, and now you're going to do the other leg, and it's going to come round the back, and it's going to go through the middle, and it's going to come round the back, and it's going to go through the middle. And you might need to move that piece of wire so it's the other side of the shorter piece of wire, and keep wrapping as neatly as you possibly can, pulling it nice and tight as you go round. And again, you're going to keep going until you run out of wire. You can see I'm using my fingernails to do this, which is why my fingernails always look so awful, because I end up nibbling them away with wire. So there we go, just pinch that end in. Okay, now all you're going to do is just move those around until you're happy with how they're sat and where they're sat, and that's it. That is your homemade DIY little sparkly hairpin that you can pop into the side of your hair. So if you give your hair a little twist, a little braid, if you do a loose bun, you can pop that into the back of your bun. So it's just a little bit of dressing up sparkle to finish that mark the day look. So you want to get dressed up, you want to get out of your PJs, you're going to mark the day, do your hair, make a couple of these hairpins, pop them in your hair. I've just made the one here, but you've seen how quick we can do this. I'm now going to sit here and probably make another, how many grips have we got? Another 3. So there you go. One gorgeous little hairpin, just made out of the bits and bobs found in the bottom of my jewellery box, pieces that I don't wear anymore, taken apart, rewired, repurposed for a pretty little hairpin for you to wear to mark the day. It doesn't have to be a special day. If you've got some time to spare and you want to get creative and you're into repurposing and recycling and it breaks your heart to see bits and bobs just lying around unloved and unworn, then have a go. Get yourself a bit of fuse wire, get yourself an old hair grip, some old bits of jewellery, and see what you can create. I would absolutely love to see the pieces that you do create. So if you make something, take a photograph of yourself either wearing it or just a photograph of the finished piece and pop it on Instagram, hashtag mark the date, hashtag glorious by Heidi,